Hello. Time for a bit of a review of my Sky server experience. Just checking that no one was on. And there's been lots of people on recently. This is my shop. So when I log on, I want to check the stock. Normally lots of rockets get bought. It looks like I refreshed it like a couple of hours ago, so no one's been on since then. Alright. Yeah. Because you can't make chainmail armor. And my mob farm produced lots of it, so I collected it and I've put it into a chest to sell as well. I'm saying that people can take a set for 1 diamond. Everything else is pretty cheap. Some things are harder for me to get than others. I've got coarse dirt, but that's takes me a while to make. This is my shop, the Mel's Emporium. Using those letter number substitutions. It's pretty boring, slanted roof. I like the lapis blue though. That sits there. And I got most of it from my farm. I made this tunnel because I wanted to have a bit of a visual barrier for people that didn't like the look of my modernist sort of shop. So I put a wall of trees, but still wanted easy access. So I put that tunnel in. Tunnel comes out over here next to the path, and that's kind of spawned just there with other people's shops and so on. Shops and yeah, stuff to get you set up quick, that sort of thing. Some pretty amazing creators, like I can't remember whose that is, but just that concept of a tower on a hill, that house on a hill, it's pretty fun. These are my creations over here. Nice geometric shape. A little bit reminiscent of No Man's Sky, game I like. I was trying to create like an exclamation mark, but it turned into a little bit more of a hot air balloon. But it's interesting that hot air balloon has a resin farm inside, and the monolith, the black monolith, it has a mob farm inside it. So a way of hiding them so that they don't detract other people's creations. Huge piston, huge mace. I actually made the lapis sword. Maybe I should sleep. I must have been awake for too long. So this is my storage area, which is pretty much open to other people. I want people to be able to get resources that they need. Some things don't work. This isn't really a sand filter, it's actually a gold filter, but I've turned off my gold farm because we've got another gold farm on the server now that's running at 4 times the speed. I don't get much gunpowder. Again, there's another gunpowder farm. But the resources like arrows, plenty of iron. Yeah, we get drops. My fish farm's not working very well either. I think, what did I need fish for early on? It's handy to have fish so that you can mess with breeding cats and stuff. But yeah, a lot of bamboo needed. And one of my latest things is a little snow machine. So it's actually just below there, and it watches this bottom one. So if I take a stack out, it will make just one stack of snow. Or maybe I need to take two out. Oh, it's going. So it's looking at. So this is the snow chest, and there's a hopper. So there's a comparator up there setting a redstone signal down here that locks this hopper clock. It's not really a hopper clock, it's more just one item in the hopper bouncing back and forth that turns on and off the piston, and it's also sending a signal to the crafter, so the crafter tries to make snow blocks every chance it can. But it's only doing it when the hopper's empty, so we'll come back and we'll see that it's turned off. Yeah, so this is where the resin comes. The resin gets dropped into a hopper, and there's a comparator and everything like that watching this to try and figure out when it's time. It's a bit dark in here. Actually, if I put the torch there, if Frostwalker comes along, it'll re-thaw that water. Has it stopped already? No. Anyway, it's slowly doing snow. Not that the only thing I can think the use for snow is just the very whiteness of it. So I've covered up all there's some farms and stuff in here. I've covered them up so that people who want to build nearby can do that without having to worry about having machines and stuff. So I don't know, it was pretty fun. I tried to make it random. I didn't want to have, uniform structure and stuff like that. And I've just spammed it with flowers and light poles. But I continued it around the side. Put a door in here in case I needed to come into the farm area from the side. Trying to have it not interfere with me. A little jetty, of course, vegetation in the river, which I think affects the way my farm works too. I don't know whether they're falling into they're meant to go into the deeper water. Maybe I'm scaring them away. Or maybe someone else has made deeper water somewhere else. Yes, I don't know. I don't think my fish farm's working very well. See, we don't need things like this. Because that would have been capturing fish, and a mob there stops my mob, like distracts from the mob cap, so that my mob farm doesn't work as well. Anyway, I find little things like that. People just dig holes, and yeah, mobs in them. But inside that bit of landscaping, there he is. There's a sheep, 2 sheep farms or wool farms. There's a bee farm, a wheat farm, you know, a speedy sugarcane farm. Also the drop from my mob farm. They fall down into the iron farm. All of that gets collected together. Then comes out of here. Makes its way over. These are just single item filters. I haven't felt the need yet to make, you know, a multi-item filter. All of the overflow comes into these 2N checks, and I I clean them up occasionally. But I'll turn those bows into dispensers, that sort of thing. So there's someone's got a creation here under this hill, but then I have another hill that I've disguised. This has a moss farm, a pretty quick moss bone meal farm. If I'm within range, it doesn't seem to create cobblestone, but it does occasionally, and I can't leave it. There's a chunk border that goes through here, so half of the lava is on one chunk border and half is on the other, in another. The lava stone generators under the 2 sides, the dispensers, the water dispensers mess up. But it's pretty quick at creating bone meal. I don't have enough bone meal to run the tree farm, but this is a azalea, an azalea farm, and it also can. Okay, so if I don't create the coarse dirt, it produces lots of wood and doesn't break. Uses lots of bone meal, but can run non-stop, and it fills up this cube maker. And I've got haste 2, so breaking the wood down is pretty easy. I've got a wall sensor here to stop it if it overflows. So once I've clear the cube, then press the button. Torch is on when the cube is full. So I've I had left it already turned on, and you see it just produced. This is what it makes from the cube, which is pretty cool. A renewable source of dirt. So it's using a stone generator. So the moss, so when the azalea can grow on moss. In fact, bone mealing moss can randomly have an azalea plant grow on top of it. When that azalea grows to a tree, it converts the moss into rooted dirt, and so that's how that works. Feels like there's some lighter. Oh, there's a torch. Alright, we'll switch this off. And its rest state is flushing off the surface, so everything that's collected will be turned into bone meal by this system up here. But this was a bit interesting. This took me a little while to figure out how I wanted to do it. I've got a single item that just goes around this loop of hoppers. When it gets to various places, like here, it triggers that the redstone block to go down, which clears the top of it, clears the top of that moss block. But then when the redstone comes back up, it sends power through that redstone, through that block, to that dispenser that then bone meals that, which is what causes all of the stone underneath to turn into bone meal. I'm actually surprised that that block there is a stone block. It probably shouldn't be, in case it gets turned to moss. But anyway, it gets a good supply of bone meal. I sometimes steal the bone meal from there and take it over to the farm because I want the resting place to always have bone meal. And then, so as this item goes around, it's being stopped in here at the moment. So it's an iron hoe. As it goes around, it reaches here. This causes the water to either go out or come in. And then it comes over here and that turns it off. So it's off, the water's off for a long time before it gets triggered. Right. There's a simple clock here that's running the two stone generators. So it fires one stone generator and then it flicks over and fires the other one and forth, filling in crushing the moss, turning it into items. My latest creation though is another attempt at a bone meal farm, but I tried to make this one more stable, so I can leave this one here turned on all the time. It should never create cobblestone, but it's far slower. But it has, because it runs all the time, anytime anyone comes near. Good, we've got a healthy lot of bone meal, so I've got to siphon the bone meal off now to create bone blocks or something. So a couple of things that I did here. the stone generators at the side have 2 sets of pistons above each other, so that the lava is an extra block away from the water block. So it has to fall 2 blocks before it can turn it into stone. Now I've got it on a slow clock. I don't need to have it turned off for so long, but I've got 2 of them, and so it alternates between them. So it takes that long. So from the time it's switched to you hear the stone get generated with the it takes a long time, and so you're waiting for that amount of time for that other side. But I decided to only do 3 crushes before doing another bone meal, because it's all of the surface stuff that gives you the bone meal, more so than the couple of moss blocks that gets converted. So the first couple of crushes by the stone generators, they happen to do, at most 6 in one go. But after a couple of goes, they're down to only doing, so this one's only going to do 2 if it did it again, 2 or 3. And so I decided it wasn't worth continuing. Alright, so instead of having dispensers dispense water, using pistons with a state means that I can send them a signal on to have water be coming out or off, rather than toggling it all the time. And I use a copper bulb to hold that state. So what's happening here is there's a this 3 by 3 setup here. There's a dropper pushing into a locked hopper until it's empty. And so there's 5 items or 4 items. So it's getting triggered by every time the stone pushes out a layer, we get a pulse over here. It's a little bit convoluted and probably could be made smaller. Maybe I'll start here. This is a hopper clock. It's got quite a few items. So 9 items. And so every 9 items, it's doing those two walls. So I negate the signal here when this one's pushed out, this one's pulled in, and vice versa. So it's the same amount of time on as off. I then take the signal out of here and I turn it into pulses. So every time the hopper clock flicks, a pulse comes through here. And every pulse moves an item into the hopper until it finishes. And so it's counting those 4 or 5, and then this is firing. So when that fires, that signal goes. So every time 4, is it 4? Every time 4 stone pushes happen, I then bone meal from below. As well as bone meal from below, I toggle this bulb, but only if the bulb is on. So I'm toggling the bulb only when it's on, and I'm also sending a signal through this delay to then toggle the bulb again. So that delay is how long the water's on for. So it doesn't need to wash everything off, because the next cycle it'll wash the items. It's well and truly going to get all of the items within the five minutes. So nothing's going to disappear. If you fly away from this area, this whole area is one chunk, by the way. If you fly away from this area and it gets out of sync, or it stops processing because you're out of redstone range, it means if it's stuck with water flushing, it's only going to waste one bone meal before it then detects that this wasn't on when it started, but the delay pulse that turns it off will still trigger it to swap, allowing the next bone meal to work. Anyway, it's just simple negation and things like that. It's doing pretty simple things. It just looks far more complex than it is. So that pulse signal comes up here with some delay. So the bone meal underneath should happen first before the pistons get lifted, and a little bit after the pistons getting lifted, then that piston gets pushed down as well. And what that does is you need to have nothing above that center one, so that the bone meal will work. I've also decided, so I've only got 6 pistons, 6 stone generators, and I missed the middle one on both axes, so that it never pushes out that moss block in the middle. And I've got obsidian to stop it going any further as well. But this seems to work. I could probably put another row of pistons around these 2 edges as well, to get completely all of the moss, but this is working well enough. And the fact that it runs all the time when people come and visit my resources to borrow, steal, whatever, it's going to run, and then I'll be able to take that bone meal. Yeah, so my next step is to take that bone meal, convert it into bone blocks, and maybe use an auto crafter to take the bone blocks to feed that azalea farm. I was playing with a flower farm. I haven't decided whether I need this or not. Seems that I have managed to collect all the flowers though. One of these here. I've carefully gone, like there are the grasses, or lots of the grasses and other things, but I've got there a tulip of every colour. I've got all of the 2 high flowers, as well as some small drip leaf, which I know I can't dupe the small drip leaf. I think I bought them from a wandering trader, but the double high flowers, and then all of the single high flowers. So I was ready to do a flower pot, but don't know. I'm trying to decide whether to make that. One of the projects, we had a village over here, and it got destroyed by TNT and all sorts of stuff. So I've carefully re-terrained it, filled in all the holes, so it's actually hollow underneath here, but it's all lit up. And I've recreated some villager houses, put some beds in them. It's not ideal, but I've got over here a pretty cool idea that I had. I've got a villager breeder. So it's behind this flowing water, so I'm hoping that it won't there's only one. No. There's 2 villagers in here. And so I could buy them. I could buy some bread. And I've set it up like this so that only baby villagers can go out. But as soon as they have a baby village, as soon as they create a baby villager, it'll go into the water. But I'm an adult, so I have to swim. It'll be washed out and join the village. I've put some crafting tables out and around, like 2 fishermen. So I'm encouraging people to make their own houses, their own villager houses. I've left some remnants of what was some old villages. I might rebuild this one at some point. But I tried to rebuild the cleric. You see how I've put just normal panes of glass in rather than stained glass where I've replaced it. Yeah. Let's show you the gold farm. So I got all of my wool generators to yellow so that I could make this. Someone the other day messaged me that they got stuck. We don't want holes like this in the wall. What do we make the wall out of? Do I have some stone? Yes. Yeah, so you can see there's 4 large portals. There's water washing all of the piglins that spawn. There's a little so there's a piston that's set to turn off the farm when it's not being used, and it stops the dispenser, which has got powdered snow in it, from popping out as well. So I've rigged that all up so that if you send a signal through, and that one's poking out, that one's poking out. I think it all works. So let's go and flick the switch, and we'll have a look at what it does. I might just check. Okay, so someone's stolen all of the tridents, so it's not going to work. Every one of these pistons should have a trident on it. I think I've got a chest of them. So 5. So I think throwing at these first is easier. You want them in the middle. And they'll be triggered whenever the tripwires get tripped. So whenever the tripwires get tripped, then the signal comes through here, which turns off this torch, and that gets all the pistons going. Alright, and then there's lots of filters under here for rotten flesh, gold ingots, and gold nuggets. And another thing that you need to check is that there's enough fuel for the furnaces. So there's quite a few furnaces, so I've set this up so that you can AFK for a long time. But you don't want anything that's not flammable in these. Right, so there's some swords going through now. The ingots end up in here and get pushed the nuggets get converted to ingots and pushed this way, and then all of the ingots get turned into blocks, and all of the what's it called, the rotten flesh, it gets sent straight to be burnt. So I've got this set up here, so detects when there's anything in there. This causes this comparator clock to fire, and that comparator clock is powering this block, which triggers that dispenser or dropper. This is pretty cool. I've got 2 auto crafters using the same comparator signal from another crafter. So that crafter there. And I found by putting a delay of 1 in, it stops it. Sometimes there's a bit of a delay in the signal getting back around. but this creates a slow pulse, slow enough that it only fires once when it needs to. And then the water carries the golden blocks up that water tower to where I want the user to AFK. They're AFK under here so they get the experience, and the experience doesn't clog up the system either. And if they don't pick up everything, there's still another chance for a pickup there. Alright, so let's turn this on. Okay, so now we want to see that all of these are firing. Yep. It's a bit funny for me, but it's technically working. So every single portal has piglins coming from it. They all go in the middle. Now if I hold looting, I'll get the experience. So I think what must have happened the other day, someone probably ran this with no tridents in it. So many piglins ended up in here that it would have lagged them out. That's probably what happened. Sometimes they get stuck in the corner, but with three other portals supplying the piglins, there's always work for it to do. So there's 5 blocks in there now. I'll go here and collect this experience, even though I'm already 300 or something. But we don't want to do this. Let's switch it off. I've made sure it works. You can see the gold blocks come past. Okay. There's a thunderstorm happening. Get the experience that's at the end here as well. You can see everything getting picked up. Takes a little while to turn off once you can hear the rotten flesh getting burnt. Right, so there shouldn't be any mobs now. So I should be able to sleep. That'll stop the thunderstorm, because I don't want to set fire to anyone else's builds. We've got fire tick on and all that sort of stuff, so I think I've placed what are they called? Lightning rods. So I've collected all of the tridents back up. And all 5 are back in there. That away. Oh, I need to add a sign. I might come back another time, put a sign on it and say, make sure there's a trident. Well, there's 5 tridents. There's a raid farm, kind of works. Actually, I was having some troubles with this. I wasn't. So this has still got the trident in it. It's a banner wielding mob. Here are some potions. So they, as you're up the top, you'll get more and more. This is where the stuff gets collected. Don't mind if I do. So all the loot ends up in there. I think someone's left this turned on. Doesn't need to be turned on if no one's using it. So it's a simple 2x2 trident killer. But I was having trouble up the top here. And my latest build idea is this one. So I let the water flow over the edge here so that the Ravagers were going across, sometimes falling down, and then they don't get killed by the 2x2 trident killer. If I didn't have that hole in the corner, witches were floating and staying afloat. And if I have this too low, yeah, witches float in the lava, and eventually they drink fireproof potions and that sort of stuff. So I've raised this up. The Ravagers float on this water enough that they then float on the lava and die, but the witches aren't tall enough, and so they will fall down that gap. But people have been putting like trapdoors there, and mobs would stay standing on the trapdoors and not go where they were meant to go. Anyway, I haven't seen it fail since I've made this change. And I wonder whether it's changed because of updates, that sort of thing. So that's someone else's build. I think I've shown off. We had a 1-day challenge. This was my build. This thing here. I've got a water elevator, which is pretty cool. So you use the buttons to go up. Oh, I didn't know Villager could get stuck like that. I wonder whether he can sleep normally. But at each level, I have a villager and a farm to sell stuff to that villager. So here we've got melons and pumpkins. It's just a single cell melon pumpkin farm. I'm scared that he won't be able to get to his bed. Anyway, maybe we can check on it at night. And this is a bamboo farm, so you can make the sticks from the bamboo to sell to the Fletcher. This is a wool farm that works pretty well. You can sell wool to the what's he called? Shepherd. And then here we have sugarcane, which you can convert into paper to sell to the librarian. We have a chicken farm. Lots of little babies up there. Press this button when there are enough chickens. You get your cooked chicken. I forget, do you sell raw? You can't even sell chicken to this one. I'm sure he was buying raw chicken. Or cooked chicken, something like that. So I'm using the same bubble column elevator to bring those chickens up. Normally the villagers are meant to be trapped in their little capsules so that I don't risk them coming downstairs. There's a I've gone too far. You hear the chickens. I did have a way to get into them. But someone must have blocked it up. Oh no, there it is. Yeah, so there's chickens in there. When they lay eggs, the eggs get shot via that dispenser. Turned into chickens, and then the chickens go up that water spout. Anyway, I put copper torches up the sides. Spur. I made it out of basalt, glass, all the things that I can make or access pretty easy. This place over here is not really safe from I'll show you my exclamation mark. So there's a trick where you can remove walls from bubble elevators, but it seems a bit cheaty. So I've made this, and what I do is, this is where I AFK. So I'm crouching down, so my name's not shown. I'm wearing a pumpkin, so people can't tell where I am. So I don't think I appear on locator maps and stuff like that. As long as I can AFK here, people can go and check whether I'm here or not. It'd be mean for them to hurt me. Just makes it that little bit harder. And above me, the top part of the balloon. This was pretty tricky. I've made the bubble elevator, so there's water source blocks to where my feet are, but these last couple are not water source blocks. They're flowing water. Well, there's 2 flowing and 1 water source at the top to be the start of it. But that way, I only float up to this point, which allows me to go in and out. And then I fly down like that. So up the top there, you can see that hole. That's where there's a powdered snow. That's where the resin drops down into the little machine that creates the resin blocks. So it is night time. We could go up and here. So I think I'm too far away from it. If we go up into here, maybe it's broken. Let's investigate. So I want to take with me some yellow wool. I've got some extra stuff. Let's just put these aside for a moment. So I've got more room in my inventory. Right. I've got some wool. I want some yellow carpet just in case too. Alright, we need to go up on top. So someone's gone in here. That was risky because it alright, so in terms of getting entry, it's probably easier to go in somewhere like this. Alright, there's no trident there anymore. Has the trident fallen down? Right, so we've got carpet everywhere. can't see. Trident hiding. So I forget how I get in to put a new one. There's water at that level. So if I break this glass, that's not going to do anything. Right. Now I need a trident. So we have in here next to all my treasures an ender chest. Our trident box. Right, so now that's working again. Now it's only going to, it's got the same trigger of a what's it called? Of the tripwire, so it will stop working when a person moves away. It'll disappear, which means the piston and the trident won't be being attacked. Alright, so how do I get out? I wonder whether I can go through. Can I go through the no. Alright. So I need to make my escape out the side. This is why I took extra stuff with. So now I can break that, break that, and I fixed it. So I wonder where the trident ended up. It could have ended up in here. I better check because no. So it's triggering when there's more items. I just made it really slow. I think I want to have a torch down here. put a torch down there to stop the light activation from affecting people. All right. Oh my goodness. All three. Right. Oh, so that'll work next time. Even that little bit of night, we would have collected some. Not sure how much. Put this back in here. Okay. Nope. Alright, you can go. Carpets. Oh, no, not carpet. Wool. Wool farms are so easy to get and make. And it's an early game wool farm in that you don't need any observers or anything. So these they need redstone, but as soon as you've got redstone, you can create one of these. I've deliberately taken the shears out so that it won't give me any more wool because it's too powerful. But it uses that center block is where the sheep's standing. When it eats, it causes an update, and then there's a burnt out redstone torch trigger here, which pulses this for a couple of seconds. But that first pulse triggers the hoppers, the dispensers, to dispense the shears. Alright. What else? We had problems with the nether for a while. That's now fixed, which is good. We had we've just had Easter. One of the really fun activities one hid shulkers, coloured shulkers around, which have all been packed up now, but with rewards in them. They were very cool. Alright, well, I think I've shown off enough. I hope you liked seeing some of the things I was doing. I guess on the platforms that on YouTube, whatever, you could ask comments, you could ask me to show you how things work, or what I'll do. So I've been logging on every day and a bit to make sure my my shop was still populated and getting lots of diamonds, which is good. Much better than digging in the ground. I still don't mine very much. For the game that's called Minecraft, I play it like Farmcraft. Like even my redstone comes from the mob farm or the village farm. Anyway, I hope you liked seeing this